Acting Director, Corporate Services, Communications. Birthday, 28 December. I don't know the year.
That's the name. That's the birth name, not the birth name.
Birthday, oh.
It's the birth name. What? The birth name, not the birthday.
I know wrong. Clearly, realize they're not following instructions. Name, surname, department, birthday.
Oh, it's the birthday.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I thought it birth name.
Good morning, councillors, Councillor Sethi, Councillor Swart, Councillor Manioba, and my colleagues. Ellen Paulson, the Director for Community Services, and until 12 midnight, the 4th of March 2024, the acting born on the 30th of August 1970.
Morning, everyone. Felix Bitou, the Chief Financial Officer. I was also born many years ago. 5th of July 1964, 07 o'clock in the morning.
You remember that?
I remember that. I was a little bit.
One. Victor Falcon, Head of Engineering. I was born in not as far back as this man, so I can remember I was born in 1967. And my birthday is on Wednesday, so yeah, bye. Happy. That would be really nice, thank you. Thank you.
That's what would to councillor. Been a councillor since 2017. Normal, just general dog's body. A bit of humour from me. I made my first term. I think it may have been Councillor by comment. We had a lot of people dancing in positions at South Hollywood. And I think we're seeing me to carry on with
Hollywood table.
Good morning, everyone. Sam Kele Alumni Dolamla Manglaba is my name. I'm the Whip of Council. I sit in all portfolios. I'm not sure how safe that is. I'm part of the Finance and Corporate Services portfolio, part of the Engineering and Community Services portfolio, part of the Strategic Services and the Office portfolio, part of the MPAC, and part of the Local Labour Forum. I was born on the 10th of March. Sometimes I'm a 90s baby, sometimes I'm in the 80s or 70s. It's my business, so yeah, let's just stick to 10th March. That is all that matters.
Hello everyone, my name is Doris Kwebo. The MPAC coordinator, and my birthday is still coming, the 26th of July, some years ago.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Pfizer. Mr. Pfizer, are you there?
Yes,
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir. Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'll do that. Let me just switch on my camera.
Thank you very much. Did you hear?
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear. I'm Faisal Jacobs. I'm a manager at the Auditor General. I also have Ignatius Fourie that will be doing the presentation. He's the senior manager that was on the audit of the past audit. And I was born on the 21st of July. Thank you.
Thank you very much, AG. Thank you so much. And now we're moving forward. I thank you, colleagues. I thank you very much for this introducing that we've done. And then now, I just want to say welcome to you, Mr. Ngubo. I hope that you will make a good team, and then for the betterment of this municipality and the communities. Thank you very much. Oh. Now, can we allow that we must have a silent prayer? Counting 1. Amen. We are moving on our agenda today. I believe that attendance register is circulating.
It's been signed.
Thank you very much. We are on point 3 on our agenda. Applications for leave of absence. Any absence of leave, Sister Dora? Is there any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. There's one apology from Councillor that she's got another commitment in Garden Road Municipal.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
And Mr. Peg is representing Miss Esther. She's not here today.
Thank you very much.
Signal audit.
Two of them, Vesta and Tindai. Thank you. We continue with our agenda. Confirmation of minutes. That's point 4. I think we should take note of the minutes because we are all not there since we are in the new members of the MPAC. Now we're moving to point 5. Presentation, Auditor General, Representative. Now we are going to allow you, Mr. AG, Mr. Faisal, to make your input. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. I'm going to ask Faisal to maybe just share the presentation, if that is okay. And then, Chair, I turned on my camera so that at least I can do also an introduction. I was so glad you didn't ask me to introduce myself, because then I would have had to admit that I was born 9 months after Valentine's Day. So you can work out my birth date for yourself.
Okay, all right.
Faisal, if you can maybe put it on presentation mode, please.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, I hope everybody can see the presentation. I'm not going to go through every slide in the presentation. I will take it as that it's read and that you've looked at the presentation. It was shared before the time. So I will just touch on those things that I think is important and that I want to highlight to the committee. So if we go to the vision and mission of the Auditor General, I think it's important that we just reflect on this, because this interaction today fits into the mission. So you'll see that the mission of the Auditor General is that the Auditor General has a constitutional mandate and as the supreme audit institution of South Africa exists to strengthen our country's democracy by enabling oversight, accountability and governance in the public sector through auditing, thereby building public confidence. So you'll see there's 3 important aspects in there, and that's enabling oversight, accountability and governance. And I think that is what we are striving for through this interaction, so that we can enable you to do your oversight and to hold people accountable if necessary, to ensure good governance. So I think that's the importance of this interaction for us today. Then before I actually go into the audit outcomes for the municipality, I just want to speak a little bit in terms of our strategy. So you will see there's a few slides included for our strategy in terms of what it is that we aspire to. And you'll see that we call it #CultureShift 2030. That is our strategy. And I think important that you will note from that is that I think we all aspire to the same thing, and that is to improving the lived reality of South Africans. You do it directly through your service delivery, and we want to achieve that through shifting public sector culture. And we want to achieve that and do that through three important aspects: insight, influence, and enforcement. So if we maybe just consider those three things. So insight is the messages that we bring to you. And those need to be, clear and insightful so that it can help you to action the things that needs to be actioned. And that's where the influence then comes in. And that is to ensure through those insights that action is taken in terms of shifting the public sector culture. And then lastly, enforcement is linked to our mandate in terms of material irregularities, and that is for us to exercise our power to ensure that monies lost are recovered in terms of material irregularities. So, Chair, maybe just a little bit on that picture that you see at the bottom. That's what we call the continuum, and where we want to plot our auditees at the beginning and then at the end to show how public sector culture is shifting in terms of the insight, influence, and enforcement. Obviously, the ideal is to have everybody under doing good. We are still just finalizing and enhancing the criteria in terms of that continuum, but I think you will see that in future. If we then move on to the next part of our strategy, and that is the accountability ecosystem, which you will see there consist of different role players. Now, we cannot do this on our own. Every person in that accountability ecosystem has a responsibility in terms of the role that they play. And that goes from the officials right through to Parliament and provincial legislatures that have a role to play in terms of shifting public sector culture and keeping people accountable in terms of this ecosystem. So then if we move on, Faisal, you can move on. Then we come, now that first slide, please, Faisal. One up. Then we get to the audit outcomes of the municipality. So just to reflect again, our audit outcomes is reflected in three areas. So it's the financial statements, and if those are credible and reliable, then the annual performance report, where your key performance indicators are included, if those reporting or actual achievement against the target is reliable and credible. And then thirdly, if you've complied to key legislation and regulations. So those are the three areas that you will find we report on in the audit report. If we move to the next slide, then I'm not going to go through all the opinions, but those are the opinions that can be expressed in terms of the audit that's performed. Now, in terms of the previous, you would have seen that you were the yellow, which is financially unqualified opinion with findings, but you've improved to the green, which is unqualified with no findings. So what that means? That means that your financial statements is credible and reliable. your performance information is useful and reliable, and you complied with key legislation. So I think that is a very good achievement by the municipality, and should be commended in terms of achieving that clean audit outcome. So if we move to the next slide, that's just a little bit more detail of what I've now mentioned in terms of that previous slide. That just shows you the improvement in terms of from 21-22 to 22-23, and also from 2021 right up to 2023. And you'll see that there was a steady improvement in terms of the compliance areas that's reduced from 2021 to 2022 to 2023. And then you'll see that the key performance information also improved from a qualified opinion in the prior year to unqualified in the current year. Then we can move on, Faisal. Okay, so there's a couple of slides now. I'm not going to go to too much detail in terms of this, but just reflects the outcomes in terms of each area that we audited. I think of importance to note here on the quality of the financial reporting is that there were no material adjustments required to the financial statements. So it was unmodified before audit adjustments and after audit adjustments, which means that no material adjustments was required, and the financial statements that were submitted for audit was a quality set of financial statements. You can move on, Faisal. I'm not going to talk about that. You can move on. Okay, so this is just then more detail and a reflection on the performance information. Again, there you will see in terms of the performance, annual performance report, before and after audit adjustments, it was unchanged, which means no material adjustments had to be made to the annual performance report. You will see that later on in terms of our recommendations and some of our root causes, there is still a little bit of a concern around the quality of the annual performance report. There were some adjustments that was required. Even though they weren't material, there's always a risk that they could be material. So we've made some recommendations in that area just for improvement. And then the other thing I want to highlight maybe on this slide is just that in the 22-23 financial year, there were no indicators on an organizational level for the monitoring of services delivered to informal settlements. That's also something we've raised for the prior year as well. Then we can move on, Faisal. You can move on. So again, if we look at compliance with key legislation, I've touched on that, and you'll see that there were no material findings relating to compliance to laws and regulations. Again, under the recommendations and root causes, and I will touch on some areas which is maybe just a concern, and areas that needs to be addressed before the next audit, so that it doesn't then result in material non-compliance and impact the audit outcomes in the next financial year. So those are more from an emerging risk perspective and aspects that still needs to be finalized in terms of actions that are being taken. Then I've talked about enforcement and our powers. So you should be familiar with the concept of material irregularities, but maybe just to recap, the definition of material irregularities is given there on the slide. If we look at it, it really consists of three aspects. So firstly, there needs to be an action of irregularity. Then it needs to be identified through an audit in terms of the Public Audit Act. And then thirdly, there needs to be an adverse impact on the municipality for it to be considered a material irregularity. If we look at those actions in terms of irregularities that needs to be taken place, it's also basically three things. There needs to be either non-compliance or contravention of legislation. then either fraud or theft, and lastly, a breach of fiduciary duty. So if any of those aspects is present and it was identified during an audit performed in terms of the Public Audit Act, then we will assess it for impact. And if it results or is likely to result in an impact that is negative to the municipality, we will then raise those matters as material irregularities. In terms of the impact, you'll see that, again, there's different aspects to it. Either there needs to be a likely material financial loss, or then misuse or loss of a material public resource. And lastly, if there is substantial harm to a public sector institution or the general public, those will then be considered material irregularities. And then the accounting officer has a duty then, if we raise and notify him of material irregularities, to take the necessary action to correct the material irregularity. If we assess the actions of the accounting officer not to be appropriate, then we have certain options that we can exercise our power. So firstly, we can refer the material irregularity to a relevant public body for further investigation, or we can recommend actions in the audit report to resolve the material irregularity. If those recommendations are then not implemented, we can then take binding remedial action for failure to implement those recommendations. And lastly, it can lead then to the issue of a certificate of debt. If we then look at the next slide, I'm glad to report, Chair, that there were no material irregularities identified for Bitou municipality. It's the next slide there. There you will see that there were no material irregularities that were identified. If we then move on to the root causes and the recommendations, I think I've touched on some of these in terms of my presentation earlier, but I think it's important to note these things. So the two main recommendations in terms of the root causes that we've made is firstly that the supply chain management policy and practices need to be aligned to the PPF and the PPR 2022 to prevent any material non-compliance and irregular expenditure. Now, this was a matter of disagreement, if I can call it that, between Provincial Treasury, municipalities, National Treasury and ourselves in terms of the application of the PPF. And we gave municipalities then a chance to correct that for the next audit. And if it's not corrected by the next audit, we will then raise it as material non-compliance. My understanding is there has been some further guidance given by National Treasury. So the municipality must just ensure that they align their policies to the latest guidance from National Treasury. And then the second one was on the evidence and the portfolio of evidence of the key performance indicators, which I've talked to earlier, where there was still a concern just in terms of the portfolio of evidence that supports the actual achievement, and that the review of that needs to be enhanced. If we then look at the next slide, Faisal, the next slide. Thank you. So I think important to note in terms of this slide, we do reflect on what was recommended in 21-22, and it's there on the left top of the slide. So you will see that management should improve quality assurance processes when preparing annual financial statements and annual performance report. Now, you'll see in terms of those previous slides that I highlighted, those recommendations were implemented, and the quality of the financial statements and the quality of the annual performance report has improved. MPAC should ensure that unauthorized, irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure occur in the prior years are investigated timeously. Now, in terms of that, although it was mostly implemented, the previous years' fruitless and wasteful expenditure, the old years, are still in the process of being finalized, and that is something that MPAC must ensure that those old fruitless and wasteful expenditure investigations and decisions that council needs to take in terms of that are finalized, and that it's not delayed further. Then the last one, the accounting officer should closely monitor the audit action plans to address audit findings and prevent reoccurrence. I think you can see from the improvements that was done in the 22-23 year. So what I've said now is just also then reflected there in the overall reflections on the implementation. Then on the key messages going forward, I've touched on the PPR and I've touched on the performance information. Just two other matters, number 3 and 4 on that, that also needs to just be monitored by the municipality, and that is that they need to ensure that they appropriately account for VAT on funds that are received from provincial government. There were emerging risk raised on the function that's performed in terms of library functions, and the municipalities and treasury are ensuring that they determine what is the correct way of accounting for output VAT on those type of funds that are received by the municipality from the provincial government. And then the last one, it's just in terms of the approvals of Section 17(1)(c), where we've also just raised an emerging risk for the municipality to be aware of, and that they ensure that they tighten up their processes so that there isn't any non-compliance to the Section 17 approvals. Then I think that's what I wanted to touch on for the presentation, Chair. So that's the, I'll pause there and I'll take questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Faisal. On that note, I think I must give it to the councillors here. Do you have any question to the AG? Officials? Yes, Mr. Councillor Day.
Thank you, Councillor Sethi. Councillor Swart, I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It was very informative, and I'm glad to see that municipality and everyone that was involved put in the effort. I think it was an immense effort that was put in to get us from where we are now, especially from the financial officer, the CFO, and the municipal manager, and all the staff involved, because it's not 1 or 2 people that do it, it's teamwork, and we need to continue with it, and I'm sure we will. So thank you very much for that. It was very insightful.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I think now, if there's nothing else.
Chair?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see the hair.
Yeah, just an input on the issues that were raised by the AG. I think we have given our commitment to address those already to the AGs, to the AG through a letter from the accounting officers by the mayor. So yes, we take note of those risks that are imminent, and we have done all in our powers up to today to ensure that those are addressed and do not recur in the following audit. Especially the issue around the VAT, we have appointed someone to assist us in that. The portfolio of evidence, we have also controls to ensure accurate reporting on that. And then the preferential procurement, we As you should be aware that the council has already adopted its revised policies in this regard. We are applying those stringently forward, and the regulation 17C reporting as well. We have implemented already during the course of the audit efficient controls to ensure that there are no non-compliances with your audit. Yes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, CFO. I think on that note, Faisal, let us release you if there's nothing else. Let me personally thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question from my side. Can I stay just for the presentation of the annual report? As we also have an interest in the annual report and the comments on the annual report, Chair.
AG, can you please just repeat what you've said?
I'm just asking if we can stay for the presentation of the annual report, the next point on the agenda, as we also have an interest in the comments on the annual report, Chair.
Okay, now you are welcome. You are welcome. You can stay. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. On that note, I think we should move. Thank you for showing me the head. Because I'm not looking around. Sorry. Okay. Now we are going to move statements of statement and communication by chair. None. I'm sorry about that. We're going to move first to item number 7, item for consideration. It is going to start from point 7.1. I'm not sure if we're going to have it on the screen.
I'm just trying to open the final version.
Item C, /1/101/24 draft annual report. Yes, and you'll be having that by the CFO. We're waiting for the screen, CFO.
It's on the screen.
Sorry, Chairperson, it's just not on the team screen, so the AG can't follow. You're going to have to share your report on your screen. Team.
Yes, Leonard?
Thank you, Chair. It's waiting for it to appear on the other screen, yeah. So it's
I'm still struggling here, but you can continue, Chair.
I think, Chair, you have it in front of you instead of that one is taking too long. Do you have it on your screen? Your CFO.
Beneath it. I know you.
What is it on now?
Share between the screen.
Okay, sharing it.
It's important that you can
And
see.
you can't see. You must go share, Doris. Click on share. Click on what is open on your screen.
At Windows 7, one thing like that.
Go there.
There.
There you go.
Annual report, like one.
That one. Ah.
Okay. Okay. CFO, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll,
Who's gonna help us out today?
I'm going to, try to assist the chair. Thank you. So it's quite a task for the MPAC, also so the oversight committee considering the annual report. Now, in the process of getting to this point, we should take into consideration the draft annual report was tabled in council and then it was referred for public participation. It was advertised and that was more than a month ago. We should have this meeting already last week, but due to unforeseen circumstances, it was postponed to today. Nonetheless, when we do the advertisement, we also send the annual report to the to the provincial treasury, also to the AG for their comments, and those comments we have received back, incorporated those into the annual report to ensure that the accuracy of the report that's finally considered by council for adoption. So it's usually quite a process, and I hope we have 2 days so that we can page by page through this report, because it's important that we do it thoroughly to ensure that we cover all our bases and to make sure that all the comments that we have received are incorporated. I'm going to ask Lynette just to jump in here and there to tell us which page the input has been received on. I think if we start by the annual report, we start with the forward of the mayor. We have received some input from the Auditor General on some corrections that was necessitated in the mayor's forward. Firstly, I think it was in concerning the number of vacancies in senior management that was corrected. Lynette, will you need it and check down?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Lynette to come in and assist us with those changes, because she was updating the annual report with the proposed corrections that we received from the AG firstly. After that, we can start working through the input that we received from the public as well, just to give you some on those input that we received.
Okay, that was on page 3 with the forward of the mayor. The senior managers vacancies. That was actually 3. The mayor said 2, but we corrected it. And then page 5, it was like in just spelling errors here and there where we all corrected. It was mostly spelling errors. So.
Yeah, it was really, Chair, it was really small semantics in the report and corrections that we had to do, moving off paragraphs, correcting some spelling, correcting small references in terms of the forward of the mayor, the municipal manager, as well as the narrative to the report that we did some corrections on. I think in all, the AG's comments that we received were incorporated into the revised document that you have in front of you. Something important.
Page of the annual report. Doris, if you can go to page 17.
Question about the top level KPI.
Yeah.
There was a question raised whether the number that we have in the report should be similar to TL, which was it?
9.
TL9. And you need to that.
Okay, they refer, the AG said, yeah, as CFO just said, they asked actually if it shouldn't be the same as the top player 9. The answer is no, because on page 17, we're referring to water available within 2 meters from the dwelling. And in the performance report, top layer 9 is referring to the number of households built for water. So that's why we didn't make any changes there. So it stays. No.
The major changes really all comments from the AG that we had to incorporate into the final report, Chair. Do not know whether you would like us to go page by page. Maybe if we just slowly page through the document so that anyone that has a question or something to ask can also comment on that as we progress. But Doris, can I just ask you to let us just start at the forward of the May and slowly page through page by page. See that we have covered everything, that if there are any questions, then we can answer those as we go along.
Yes, thank you.
Page. So that was the forward from the mayor. Anything on that from anyone? No?
Chair, sorry, if I could just ask if Doris can do as the committees normally do when we are in maker or council. Just say page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8. Sound like Mrs. Voldemar. Taking us through page by page.
It can be that fast.
So that the committee, MPAC committee and the members and the AG knows exactly on which page we are. If Ms. Chair who can just take us through which page she is.
Okay, the mayor's forward. That's from page 13. And then it goes down 13, 14. And it
Sorry, no.
page
Sorry,
on page 14.
we're talking about the mayor's forward. It starts on page 3.
Page on that document is page 6 current.
Oh.
Screen.
Oh, okay. There's 2 page numbers here at the bottom. Okay. And then from page 5, 6, 7, and page 8 is the MM's forward. And then page 8 is the beginning of
If there are no questions on the either the executive mayor, the MM, if we can then go to the
Yes, you are right.
report. Thank you, Doris.
Okay. The next page is the municipal functions, population and environmental overview. Page 8, 9. There's a population on page 11. Page 32.
Sorry, Doris, if I want to make sure that we've done this correctly. 1.3 starts on page 8, sorry, on page 9. It then carries over to 10, 11, 12, 13. Sorry, then it's still 1.3. And then 1.34 starts on page 12. There is only to 13. 14 with the demographics, page 15. And then page 16, 1.4 starts with a service delivery overview. Doris, are you now on?
Yeah, 1.42 basic service delivery challenges. 1.5 the financial health overview.
17.
Yeah. Still overview, financial overview, 1.4.554. And then chapter 2 is governance.
So before we go to chapter 2, any questions from the committee on that we've just done up to page 19?
Page 19.
Any questions from the committee up to where we are now? None? All right, then we can proceed now, Chair, with your permission to chapter 2, the governance.
Governance. Yes.
Starts on page 20. The second will take us.
National Key Performance Indicators. Page 20. And 2.3 is challenges, governance, and public participation. Is page 21. Yes.
Sorry, may I also stop you just there? If we go to page 20,
Yeah.
this also gets to a question that's asked by the just the capital spending percentage that is on page 22.1.
Yeah.
The percentage of the municipal capital budget spending. You can see that it's a slight decline there to 83%. And going through the capital detail, you will find that there was a big project. I think that was a big project of the Clearwater pumping station, which a rollover was also approved for about 9 million. That has the biggest impact on the underspending percentage of the capital budget. That has successfully been rolled over, and it is now implemented in the new financial year for finalization. Yeah. Just in answering that one question of the ratepayers.
So we're moving 2.4 governance structure. Yes, political governance structure, the council.
Sorry, Chair. Doris, can I just ask you to read page numbers?
Okay, page 22.
Page 21.
It starts from page 21. I'm now on page 22. Page 23. Portfolios of council. Page 24. Reporting on page 25. Twenty-six. Administration governance structure. Yeah, the directorates.
Sorry.
Yes, okay,
26.
yeah.
Table shows the document I've got where we change now the one. You'll see WJ now.
Yes, twice.
Yes, chairperson. And it's just a duplication.
Okay.
Very important member, that one. Twice.
Let's go. 2.5 is components of intergovernmental relations. Page 27. 28. 29. 30. 1. 32. Up to 32. Then the start of the ward committees is 2.7 on page 33.
Page 33, ward committees.
Ward committees. Page 37. 38 is a labor forum committee. 2.8 risk management and the legislative mandate.
Doris, stop there, CFO.
Yeah,
No, I just want to make sure that everyone is clear and there are no questions up to here by component D, corporate governance. It starts with risk management. Everyone is happy then.
This one here from the house, is everyone happy about this?
the risk management.
Yes.
Oh, nobody. The highlights are on page 39. There are challenges. 8.4. Functions to page 40. And 2.9 is anti-corruption and fraud unit. Page 41. And then 2.10 is the audit committee. The internal audit is 2.12. Their highlights. And challenges. Page 48, the start of 2.1, 2.13, the bylaws and policies. A list of bylaws there. Point 14 is the communication section. Page 50 goes down. The website of the municipality on page 52, 2.15. On page 55 is the 0.16.1, the SCM. The challenges.
We can just stop there, Chair. We are now on page 60. That would then be the chapter.
Page 16. Okay.
The end of chapter 2. So afterwards, I just want to see, are we now on chapter 3? Yeah.
IDP and
Just
budget
up,
performance.
go back up to where chapter 2 ends. Right there. Thank you. Page 58, 59, committee, we are now at the end of chapter 2. And other than what was highlighted by the CFO, is there anything else that you have questions on before we proceed to chapter 3? Thank you, Doris. Then we start now with chapter 3, service delivery performances.
The overview performance within the organogram. Three point two is the introduction to strategic and municipal performance of 2022-2023.
On page 62. Or if we can just stop there. These pie charts and information on the targets that were achieved is of importance to the committee. The total number of KPIs that has been met, the total number of KPIs that have not. Pie chart on 3.2.2 on the overall performance. Self-explanatory, committee members. And that specifically set out there, if you look at the different colors of which KPIs have not been met, almost met, well met, and extreme. Organization. In terms of the overall performance against strategic objectives. There were also no comments from the AGO and the public on that particular performance targets. You take and move on.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Sorry.
Councillor Zepi.
Yeah.
Any questions, councillors?
It's
On page 63.
Can move then.
No questions. We can move on.
Please. In the strategy linkage of the IDP to SDB. Actual strategic performance and corrective measures that were implemented by year. Page 66, 67. '68. And 70. In performance. The bottom of page 75, there are corrective measures there. Is your hand up, sir? Oh, okay. Adjustment 3.2.5.
Chair, can I just stop? There, thank you.
Yeah.
So annually, as we did this year, also with the adjustments to the top level SD bill, when we do after the mid-year budget and financial performance consideration, when we do the adjustment budget, we also do the adjustment to the top level SD bill, and they adjusted these and then we show what we started off with for the targets, what were the changes, and then obviously contained in this report is the final performance of the year, considering those amendments that were done after the February adjustment budget. I want to highlight that.
Thank you, CFO.
Let's make a comment just on something on page 71. I know we've gone past it already. And it's something that we've been looking at regarding water losses, and something I think is correctly stated here, but things that we can address urgently, and that's unaccounted for water losses. It also links back to earlier reports in the annual report about accounting for services to informal settlements. Because a lot of our water losses are not actual losses, but just that we're not recording. So although our water losses is high at 35%, It's unaccounted for, which I think we'll address in this term was something we've recently discussed. So I'm anticipating in the next financial report that will come down drastically because it's not really losses. It's just not us. It's not accounted for correctly. And as I say, that will tie in with the finding. The comment I wanted to make on that.
Yeah, if I may respond, I think just because of the words coming down drastically, I just need to put it into context. Obviously, we are busy with the revenue enhancement program. Finance department in collaboration with the engineering department are looking at those, especially the unmetered water usage. Now, we are busy currently with a door-to-door survey where we record the service points of every herb use in the municipality, and where we discover that there are services rendered and not being metered. Obviously, we will do something to remedy that by the installation of a water meter so that we can monitor the consumption is there. So although we anticipate a drastic reduction in it, it may not necessarily be a drastic reduction, but it will be a reduction in unaccounted consumption.
I think it's Chair, just to know where the mayor is coming from, because we've got a no drop.
Mayor's not here. The mayor's not here.
Except this one, Mayor, Councillor. I'm going back to speak. Sorry about that. Apologies. Councillor Swart, where he's coming from. The fact that we actually recently put a no drop good outcome from the Department of Water and Sanitation. We've got an award for it, which is of 2 municipalities in South Africa. What they have recognised is that we have got water savings devices in place, and we have got a good turnaround time for failing water pipes. With that in the background, I think the logic is that, and it is very subjective, the term. The term that we're going to get a huge savings, or we're going to manage to account for the unaccounted loss. On that light, that we do have systems in place that actually prevent the water losses. That's been recognised by National Department of Water Sanitation. We do expect that we're going to get a reduction in our water loss. Again, apologise for the new mayor.
So, okay. So we were on page, Sister Doris,
79.
79.
3.2.6, service provider strategic performance. And 3.3 is the component of basic services rendered in that particular year. The water provision, the first one. There's a hand.
Which gone past page 83.
Yes, Councillor Swart, I think.
So to make a comment on page 83 from my chair.
Yes.
So there's a perception in the public domain that we need to carefully monitor water. There's concerns about water, etc. But what's interesting, if you look with an increasing population, with increasing development, and if you look at our water usage with unaccounted water losses, and if you look at our usage on the 2 years, we've actually reduced our water usage. I think that's something we need to take note of as well and work on. So whatever measures we're putting in place, as the director mentioned now as well, we are using less water as a municipality than in the previous financial year. And as you said as well, with other measures being put in place, and the CFO said, hopefully we can keep it at that, or even conserve more water. I think there's also the perception that with a lot of the housing developments we've got in the pipeline, that it's going to increase water usage. But I don't foresee that it should increase it by much, because many of the people that these properties are being built for, especially for the lower income, these people are already in Bitou, already consuming water. So even though you've got a pipeline of RDP houses that we fill, I don't anticipate that our water usage is going to increase. So it's actually commendable that we've actually managed to reduce our water usage in the last 2 years.
Thank you, Councillor.
$3.5 employees water provision. 3.6 is capital water provision. 3.4 is sanitation. 3.5 is electricity. Still together. We're still together.
Yes.
3.5 is electricity. 90, 91. 3.5.2 highlights of electricity. Challenges. 3.5.3.
Comment on this on page 90. 3.5,
91, 92.
page 91, 92.
Yeah.
Okay. Move, yes. Let's move.
5.6 is capital electricity. 3.6 is waste management. The highlights is 3.6.2. Waste management, page 96. The challenges is 3.6. The list of their challenges there. Page 97. And 3.6.5, employee waste management services. Page 98, 99. Capital of waste management services. Page 99. The next point is housing. It's on page 100. The highlights of housing department and their challenges. 3.7.3.
Challenges housing. 100.
Yeah.
Any question, any comments? Okay. Nothing. Move.
Employees. Housing. I move. Page 101, 102. Free basic services and indigent support. 3.8. Page 103.
Page 102, 103. Free basic services indigent support. Are we together, councillors?
And 3.9 is the component B, road transport provision. The first point is roads. On page 104. Continue to page 105. 106. List of issues there, surfacing gravel road, visual gravel index. 107. The impact of unpaid roads. Prevention and maintenance. 107. Then the upgrading, highlights. 3.9.3 are the challenges of roads department. Down to 8. 9. 3.9.5 employees in roads department. 109. 110. The capital roads and stormwater is 3.9.6. On page 110. 11. On 12, the challenges of stormwater. 3.10.4 is stormwater drainage. 112 and 113.
On page 111 to challenges of stormwater.
13.
113. Councillors. Do you have anything to say? Okay. Remove.
And we move 114. The highlights are on page 114. Planning.
Planning. Page 115.
Rates of LEDs on page 115. Check and make sure. 117. 118. 119 employees at LED. Tourism. Highlights of tourism. Page 118. 119.
On page 118 to 119, employees LED. Anything to say there?
In tourism.
Yes. Nothing.
3.14. The component D is community and social services. And 3.14 is the libraries. Yeah. On page 120 and go down. There are challenges on page 121. Yeah, and their outreach programs. 122 still go down. The employees at the library. 123. And 124, which is 0.3.15 is the symmetries. Are you still okay?
Yes, I am.
Symmetries will go down 124. Their capita on 124, 125. Their highlights on page 126.
On page 125 to 126.
Yeah.
Symmetries.
Services statistics for INROM. And employee INROM. 3.16.5 goes down page 126. And page 127 is the component E of security and safety. And the first point there, 3.17 is law enforcement. Page 127.
Law enforcement, page 127.
Their challenges.
Yes.
128 is their challenges.
Yes.
Statistics on 129. Their employees, still on page 129.
Employees, law enforcement.
Their capitals on page 130. And 3.8 of the same section is the traffic services, page 131. The highlights of traffic service, still the same page.
Yes. The highlights.
The additional performance statistics for traffic service, page 131 to page 132. And their employees on page 133.
We're still on traffic, page 133.
Page 133. And the next section is fire service and disaster, page 134.
They are now on page 134.
Yeah.
Fire services and disaster management. Any comment? Okay.
I think we see it.
Yes.
Yeah, it must be doing really well. So I was just having a look at the poor burials. Poor situations in previous financial year, there was only 16 billion. It's actually quite correct. So we used to get that per day.
I agree. What we must consider is the fact that once the pauper burial policy was put, and a redefinition of what pauper is now got us informing our people actually never come to the municipality for issues that were usually handled by the municipality where pauper is concerned. We are using now the reason why the numbers would actually have gone down is the fact that not because there's not existence of such, but there's no policy that supported that which we were doing in the past. And we have not really set and devised a policy that would speak to the situation and circumstances within our communities. Now we're taking it upon ourselves to actually do it. Trust me, this past weekend there was 2, previous week there was 3. However, it's things that are not gonna show on our systems or on our records, because up until we sit as council, we decide to actually rewrite what pauper is to actually fit the situation that we're handling out there. That's not going to be explained entirely. Not entirely because now the numbers have drastically gone down or anything like that. It's purely because we're no longer using the municipality resources because we don't have any policy supporting that.
I think, Chair, also in 2022, 2023 was when there was an absence of policy, which I think council amended this now. I think it's the assistance of families in distress. And the criteria has changed in terms of when we do assist. But in 2023, 2024, those figures will look different. Because we have done, it might not be 16, but we probably close in this one in 2023, 2024.
Okay.
It has picked up again. Yes.
Thank you. So, can we move on?
Can I move?
Yes.
Okay. This is fire services and disaster management.
Yes.
Sorry, just stopped.
We are now on page 135.
Just give me a minute to
Okay.
There's a tickle in this corner. Okay, the highlights is 3.9, 19.2. The highlights of the fire department. And their stats, page 136. The next component is sport and recreation, which is 3.21 on page 137.
Sport and recreation.
Yeah. Can I move?
Yes, let's move.
Challenges,
Challenges.
page 112, 138. 9 is their capital sports and recreation. And the next component, 140, is corporate services and other services. 3.2, 3.22. From 140, we go down. Human resource management. The highlights and challenges on page 141. Their employees at HR. 142. The administration services is 3.24.1. Page 143. 144 is the highlights and their challenges, same page. And the employees at ICT services. 145, capital ICT services, same page. And then the next point is the legal services, same department. Their challenges. You can stop me, Mr. Namdu, if there's something. Their challenges. And their employees at legal service. And the next point is 3.27, which is financial services, on page 147. Are we together?
Yes, we're together.
148 is the highlights of the department. Their challenges. Their services, and 149. And their employees. .28 is the procurement services. Page 151, go down. The SCM unit. Acquisition. Quotation value less than 10,000. Page 153, we go down. 54. Is your hand up, sir? Oh, you're fixing your glasses. I thought your hands up.
Chair, so just a correction there on page 155. That table with the award to the tourism organization was done. There was a public tender. The amount is 9.99 million. It's just a 9 short there. We could do the correction. It is a 3-year contract. 3.33 million per annum. no escalation over the 3.
And page 155.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you. Demo. Can move. Relation, page 14757. 8. Capital expenditure, page 159. We go down with management. Capital communication. And on page 159, capital expenditure. The next component is service delivery priorities for 2023-2024. Are we together? Yes, we're together. Okay. Once page 160, we go down and down. Provision of basic services, 3.35, we go down. 164, 165. .36 is special integrated areas separated from apartheid, promote access for poor work, creation and commercial opportunities. Page 167, 168 is the introduction to the municipal workforce. 4.2. Page 168, introduction to the municipal workforce. We go down. Yes, departments. Differentiate different races there in each section. Vacancy rate on page 170. Turnover rate 171. Sick leave. And the capacitating of the municipal workforce 172 to 173. 174 will go down. Skills development 4.4.3, the budget allocation. Page 175 will go down. 176. Managing the municipal workforce expenditure. 77. 78. 179. Chapter 5 of the report is financial performance. The component, the statement of financial performance. 5.1 is the financial summary. There's a table there. 180, we go down. Financial summary, we go down. The table there. Page 180. 83 will still go down. The revenue collection by source, 84. 186, operational services and performance.
5.2 is financial performance per municipal function. Go down, page 187. Wastewater and sanitation. 88. Electricity, waste management. Still go down, housing. Planning development, spatial planning and environmental management. And property management. Page 190. 191 is libraries. 191 traffic and law enforcement. 19 executive council is 0.5, 0.2, 0.16. Page 192. 5.2.7 is tourism. Five point 3 is grants, grant performance. 195. 97 level of reliance on grants and subsidies. Go down to 198 asset management. Go down financial ratio 5.5 based on key performance indicators. And there's a table. IDP regulation financial viability indicators on page 201. 203, 204, 205, until we reach component C of the cash flow management and investment. The first point there is cash flow. Page 206. The gross outstanding debtors per service, 2.8 and down. There's a graph there. Debtors age and analysis. Point 9. Oh, 9. Borrowing and investment, 211. And the list of grants by municipality, page 212. Chapter 6 is the Auditor General audit findings. Still together, Chairperson? Yes, we do. Okay, page 213. Service delivery performance. The first one is financial performance of the previous year, 2021/22, and the service delivery performance of that same year. And then 6.1 is financial performance of the 2022/2023 in the service delivery. That list and abbreviations.
Any comment on this one of the AG?
Straight from there. Just looking at the financial viability indicators, it's encouraging to see that. You can see from the financial control side of things, we improving the viability of municipality as a going concern. That's obviously something that is still a concern that we're busy working on, and it's the revenue enhancement program that's in place that the CFO has put in place, that will help with that as well. What concerning, and I know the revenue enhancement program will deal with some of it, is the outstanding debt. It's increasing year and not decreasing. And that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to in the current budget cycle. So I just wanted to mention that it is a report, so it is there. It's what's been done. Can't change what's there, but it's something that we need to look at going forward. So the areas of concern that come out of it, where we are doing things in the correct way, as I say, with the financial indicators, we need to watch that and continue that. And obviously need to get money in that's due in to be able to plan and do the actual spending that we need to do going forward to repair various things that need to be done, aging things like that, aging electricity. So yeah, just wanted to make those points.
Thank you, Councillor. Your hand was okay.
Okay. Next on the financial statement is the annual financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2023. It's right after page 222. The abbreviation and everything ends at page 222. And the next page are the financial statements of Bitou for the year ended on the 30th of June 2023. It's general and the division by still abbreviation.
On page 225, audited financial statements.
Yeah, audited financial statement for the year ended 30th June 2020. That there.
Yes. Okay. So the financial statement, as you are aware, and we confirmed the audit that's been done. That's it. I don't know if we want to go page by page through this, or if there's anything we need to highlight. I don't think so. It's evident from the financial statement that there's an improvement in the financial performance, the position, and the cash flow. It gives us an indication that there is positive momentum in financial affairs of the municipality, although there's still a lot of work to do. If one looks at the debt payment rate, it's only 84% of the conclusion of the financial year, whereas in the last month we managed to at least achieve an 89% average payment rate for the financial year. But only 4% on the last month that we collected, which means that there's also positive impact on that. The ratios have improved as well, as you can see in the audit report as well, that the financial ratios have improved. There's more cash on hand, not ideal yet. The liquidity ratio improved, the current ratios, improved current assets to current liabilities ratio. That's the current ratio has improved. Cash has improved. The cash or the cost coverage has also improved. So we have sufficient cash on hand, but only for 1 month's reserve, really. There is sufficient funding or money available to cover our current commitments as at the June. All those financial indicators have gone positive. Yes, we acknowledge the fact, and it is also concluded in this financial portion of the annual report, that there is still work to be done, especially in debt collection and revenue collection and revenue enhancement that's necessary to move us forward. So I don't know if there's any questions on the financials further than that was already posed. And if we want to go page by page, if it will serve any purpose.
Thank you, sir, for what we do.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to consider what the CFO said. We've been through the financial statements, the financial. I don't think the concerns have been highlighted, and we know what they are, and the plans are in place. So I'm happy just that we don't have to go through it later.
Anyone else that have a question on this? Councillor Whip.
Not necessarily, Chair. My thing is, this document has been readily available for all of us to actually look through it. So if there's anyone amongst us with something that is sticking out or they have questions about it, would like to highlight, then by all means, page for page will be a total waste of time.
Thank you. Okay. That what I think we'll move. Yeah.
You will just stop me where you see that there's an interest, but I'm gonna go down till I reach the end. Sorry, Councillor. I'm not sure if you are interested on the opinions now that we've dealt with everything. The opinions from the AG's office. Came from the presentation.
Opinions from?
The General's office. That is at the last pages of the report. Are you fine?
Sorry.
So Chair, I think the audit report is also part of this report, and it was already addressed by the Auditor General, taking us through those, highlighting the important matters we are on the audit.
That's the end of the annual report.
Thank you. That the official document. So there were some questions raised also from the association that was sent it through.
Send it $2 to circulate.
If you don't mind me just going through a couple of those questions raised. So there's a lot of general remarks in that.
We just need to confirm with Doris if the committee members received a comment from the director.
Yes, stated.
Just for record purposes. Sorry.
And they are here at the end of the agenda. Yeah.
I just want to highlight a few of them if you don't mind, Chair. Just to work through one or two of them. So the first instance, they queried the capital spending percentage that I already addressed. With that is the question about the MIC funding, the MIC spending, and I alluded to the fact that the rollover of the MIC was really contributing towards the lower spending than anticipated in the capital. So those two questions are addressed. I'm making reference in the question number 2 about the increase in consultants. They say they have doubled, but if you look at page 102 of the annual financial statements, you'll see that in actual fact, there's a reduction in the consultancy fees of for the financial year, which is not true, but we will give them a final proper motivated answer on things that they raise. They are requesting us to perhaps consider stating a bit on the water resources and the availability of water and water security in our annual report. Also in electricity, they're highlighting the fact that we are not mentioning what our position is on the renewable energy initiatives and plans. Although I don't think there is anything that has already been presented to council so that we can conclude We will obviously take that into consideration once the report is drafted before council, and we can include that perhaps in the next year's annual report. They are alluding to the fact that the award to BEE enterprises has increased substantially for the financial year. That is probably better reporting that ensure that we can accurately report now. Remember that report is also part of the supply chain, quarterly reports, as well as the annual report that goes before council. So the full details are contained in those, but from the exact awards that were made on a quarterly basis, where when a consideration is done in an award for someone that is registered for BBB is scoring, and then we include those in the monthly reporting or the quarterly reporting to council to indicate what awards were made companies registered and such. That is just answering that question through them. They are requesting that we provide at some stage a report on the projected completion and the additional cost estimate necessary to complete the Colwini cultural village. So that has been a long outstanding matter. Need to get to a point where we can conclude on that and provide also an estimate of completion cost. They have highlighted the Plet Tourism award that we did indicate that there was an incorrect amount in there. I have also alluded to the fact that there's an increase in employee-related costs, and they would like to see a reduction, an overtime reduction strategy. That we have also recently reported to council to say that the management and the accounting officer is implementing a strategy to reduce that. There's not a formal documented strategy that we can include in the audit in the annual report. They are also alluding to the fact on page 179 of the annual report where overtime has increased. We have also alluded to that to say that the reasons for that is failing infrastructure, as we are aware of, as well as the load shedding and the additional effort by staff members to attend to the load shedding issues, the switching on and off, and the diesel and all those things that needs to be provided during load shedding. Repairs and maintenance, it is evidence that there is a small decline from 6.6 to 6.2%. The reasons for that, obviously, it's contained in the report, yet one needs to consider the fact that well, it's a proper costing system with a labor component of repairs and maintenance not included in that costing, so it may be more than the 6% actual fact spent on repairs and maintenance. Also highlighted the same as with the overtime, the standby allowance that has gone up by about 500,000 for the financial year. The reasons I've already alluded to as well. Get to the next page. So if on page 102 under the protective clothing, they are alluding to the fact that 2.74 million was spent on that, and they would like to see an analysis. So in our formal response to them, we'll provide them an analysis of that spend for the year, considering the extent to which protective clothing is necessary to be provided, especially in the fire services. It is hugely expensive. We must consider that as exceptional item when it comes to, if you look at bunker gear, for instance, that's provided to the fire officers, which costs about 70,000 per person. So that is why there isn't a substantial spending on protection that is necessary for the year.
Also, Chair, if I can add to the CFO on the PPEs, it must be borne in mind that annually we also do procurement for the EPWP intake. The majority of the EPWP intake is persons that are doing unskilled labor, and we need to provide them with protective clothing for when they perform those tasks as well, which also includes law enforcement so that during season time, our law enforcement are easily identifiable by whoever is in town. So that will also impact, sorry, I almost said impact on that expenditure.
Thank you, Chair. If I can continue, there was a question raised on higher charges. Why the increase on higher charges? I think one should consider the fact that we had a fleet that was very dysfunctional in the refuse section, where we had to hire assistants to transport the refuse to Petro SA, and it cost us an exceptional amount of money the previous financial year. Also aware that we have now replaced those vehicles, and we do not foresee that will be repeated in the next financial year. One has to, although that is one component, one needs to analyze the higher charges in each and every department to really place context. Yes, there are more rental of equipment and tools necessary to perform certain functions, such as the blasting of stormwater, etc., clearing, which may necessitate the rental of equipment, as we do not have that equipment. And there are questions raised about the travelling expenditure that we will answer them, that we cannot really put it into context in the annual report, where there's an increase in local travelling up to R1 million. So it's very difficult to explain something like that in the annual report. You have to really analyze each and every vote number to get to the answer of that. So it's not really for public consumption if we put that in the annual report. And they'll answer the right place and we give them a detailed answer. Then questions were raised about the handling of the unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure as disclosed in the annual financial statements. You will see that we have handled some of them. The AG has also alluded to that. There are still, however, some of the old items that needs to be handled by MPAC to address those fully. After raising a question about fruitless and wasteful, why it is year on year the same amount, we've also responded to the AG that fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and that report still under investigation by MPAC, and that will be dealt with for the closure of this financial year. Yes, that is about it. Further than that, there is nothing else that I need to highlight to MPAC at this stage in terms of the input from the ratepayers. Safe to say that we will answer them in detail. We've also received a request from the MEC's office, because it seems that ratepayers have an automatic CC to the MEC. They question something here, that the MEC also sends us a question, and we did respond to the office of the MEC to say that we shall answer within an appropriate schedule.
Thank you, CFO. Yes, come, Councillor.
Thank you. That is all.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add to what the CFO said regarding electricity. If I recall correctly, in our last council meeting, in the one report, for the first time, it was actually mentioned that income from revenue from electricity was less because of a lot of the residents that have SSEG. And I don't know if we've done enough of an analysis on the impact of what that is going to be on our revenue stream. So I think reporting on that is necessary. I don't believe we've even got a fraction of the households that have got SSEG recorded in our system. And I think certainly there's a lot of those need to get registered. But there's a question that keeps coming up that I haven't managed to get an answer on. We need to look at is why, if someone registers the SSEG, does their basic charge, the electricity go up, and they feel they're being penalized when they do get registered. And I understand from the electrical manager that those rates are approved by NERSA, but we made application for those rates. So there have been questions that we're probably going to need to deal with in our reporting and in gathering up information around the SSEG and how we can use that excess to the benefit of people in Bitou as well. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, just in a quick response to that, I think we have highlighted this before, that When you look at those, the number of people that registered for SSG, this is the rooftop solar systems. It's about 28 of them that we are aware of. And registered at the I think simply driving through town in the evening when it's load shedding, when all of us have little candles in our house, look out over the area and see there are hundreds of them, literally. I mean,
Yes.
like we can essentially have these systems and they have not registered at the municipality. So for us to determine the impact of this on our tariffs and our revenue is extremely difficult. You can see in the units that we sold that there's a decline in the units. So we have to ascribe this to a combination of load shedding, lesser purchases, plus people generating their own electricity. When it comes to the tariffs, we must consider the cost supply study that was presented to NASA. We must also consider if that is approved by NASA, then we will be applying that. But it is council's policy to determine whether we are going to revise the tariff for SSEG customers to remain on a similar fixed charge, or are we going to increase or reduce that, or are we going to buy back electricity once they have a surplus that we can buy at a lesser rate than what Eskom charges? That is still a policy that this council needs to consider. And then we can work it into the next tariff cycle to make sure that we can adequately address. Here's the expert.
Yeah, so I see that what the CFO taking on behalf of Council Swart, now I need to speak, actually works out inside. So although it looks like there's a lot of lights on, doesn't mean there's solar panels on. It could be inverter and a backup battery only. Like I can have solar panels. And it's far cheaper to go that way than not go solar panels. But people think they know how to do the cost of supply exercise, and so it's going to be cheaper to go solar. They eventually find out that it's costing them more and they're not getting the benefit out. Some people that put in just understanding there's a 40 ampere out there and an 80 ampere out there as far as we supply people to. So people with the 40 ampere don't benefit much, and these are the ones that are complaining, and the ones with the 80 are complaining. So somewhere there is a balance we have to determine when we do the cost of supply. This, I don't think we've explained so nicely to the public. I think that's where our fault lies. We've got to explain it nicely to the public so that the public understand. They're not going to score big time by putting in SSEG for their own purpose. The part where they score is that they've got permanent electricity on all the time. Financially, that part, we don't have to somehow explain us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any question? Any comment? Do you still have people online?
The AG's office.
AG's, I love AG is still there.
Oh, he lost
Yes,
his
Chair,
channel.
I'm still here. I'm still listening, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now we have.
Chair. I just want to know, besides the Ratepayers Association's input, is there any other comments from the public?
Only from the rent.
All right. I just need to confirm that.
It's, let me just be clear, it is the Ratepayers Association. We do have other owners of Ratepayers Association, like Nature's Valley and Kirwans. This is just Ratepayers.
For special child.
Other associations of the comments.
Okay.
Recommendations.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think we got now to the end of our annual report. We take note of the report.
Yes, the other recommendations, sorry, Chairperson, the other recommendations to the committee on the annual report, because legislatively you need to adopt.
Since you are going to the recommendation.
Jumping with that.
Okay. Here's now our recommendations. Yes, I should read them.
Can you see?
Just on the second.
I read them loud. With your permission, Chair.
You can put them into the time.
Okay, that the Municipal Account Committee should recommend to Council that, 1, the Council, after fully considering the annual report of Bitou Municipality, thank you, Bitou Municipality and representation thereon, adopt the oversight report and annual report 2022-2023 financial year without reservations. 2, the accounting officer, in accordance with Section 21A of the Municipal System Act 32 of 2000, make the oversight report public within 7 days of its adoption by Council. 3, the accounting officer submits the oversight report to the provincial legislature within 7 days after it has been adopted by Council. 4, the accounting officer develops an action plan to address all issues raised by the Auditor General, indicating clearly the corrective actions and timeframes. 5, the progress report of the action mentioned in 4 above be submitted to Council and Municipal Public Accounts quarterly. 6, Council takes note of the responses from the public. Those are the recommendations that we're having, and then I believe that we're going to taking them to. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, point number 1, that is with the changes to the report as discussed earlier by the CFO. And then also just with point number 4, accounting officer develops an action plan to address all the issues raised. Is there a predetermined time limit for this action plan to be done, within which it must be done? Or do we need to set a time limit? Are they 6 months down the line that there's still no action plan?
Within 7 days.
So do we need to put in a time frame for the action plan to be done? I know the action plan's got to indicate time frames.
So that's already done. It's already been distributed. It's already been drafted and we are working on it. So that's completed already, but we can submit it to you for progress.
Thanks for that clarity. I propose we go with those recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And these are the recommendations that will appear on the oversight report. Thank you, House. On this note now, we are done with the annual report. Let us go back to our agenda.
You propose.
Oh, I don't want to forget. In front of me, I also have the Provincial Treasury comments on the table 2022 annual report. I think everyone has this. And we also take note of the report.
Point number 8 of your agenda, is there any issues under general? And point number 9 is the closure.
Okay, on number 8, general. Do you have any general? No general. And then point number 9 is the closure.
Sorry,
And now-
Chair. Sorry, Chair. It's Ignatius from the Auditor General.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to ask a comment on the recommendations or a question. I note that it's to adopt the oversight report, but did I miss it? I don't know if I missed it, but I didn't see an oversight report. I only saw the annual report. So I just was wondering about the oversight report that you're recommending to Council, Chair.
Therefore,
Yes.
Okay, this meeting was consider the annual report and the input. So now then we will draft the oversight report. Planning the discussions of the day and everything that was highlighted and alluded to, then we will consider the oversight report for to be submitted to council.
thank you, AG. Is that clear now?
Yeah, but Chair, I don't think the recommendations is correct then in terms of what you did today, because today you only did the annual report. I assume then the oversight report will need to come to this committee so that you can recommend the oversight report to council, because you can't in your recommendation recommend for approval a report that you haven't seen as a committee.
And Chair, we will then just remove the oversight, Doris, just for minutes purposes, the recommendation. So they really say that you have adopted the annual report and not the oversight report as well. We will do.
Right.
Council.
Great committee.
And then what is now the recommendation?
Chair, if I may, with the comments made by the AG there, I think, and the acting principal manager, that we then amend clause 1 to say council, after fully considering annual report of which municipality and representation adopt the annual report without reservation and as an additional recommendation. Does it mean make that amendment then?
Thank you, Councillor.
And make amendments.
Are you going to make the amendments now? What do you do?
When you draft it. We must sit together and draft it.
Okay, if I can then, we will just make that recommendation from Councillor Swart's recommendation 2. So it will be council after fully considering the annual report of the Bitou municipality and representation thereon, adopt the annual report 2022-2023 financial year without reservation. And 2, that the accounting officer prepares the oversight report for submission to the Municipal Public Accounts Committee. I think we are going to have to schedule a meeting. How long?
14 days.
Yeah, within the next 14 days.
Yes.
So we will then say that the accounting officer prepares the oversight report for submission to MPAC within 14 days.
We change recommendation 3.
No, recommendation 3 will stay as is with it. The numbering will just change.
Oh, yeah.
We have 3.
So instead of
Yeah.
And everywhere we will take out oversight report where it says oversight report.
so the acting is I said we'll add it on as an additional end. She's saying we'll make that 2.
Yeah, and then 2, 3, 3, 4.
Numbers changed. So instead of there being, I think there's 6 recommendations there. You can see at the bottom of the screen. And there'll be 7 recommendations in. So there'll be 7 recommendations.
7.
And recommendation 2, if the accounting officer bring the oversight report to impact. That is my proposal with regards to the recommendations. Need a second.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else, AG?
No, Chair, that was the only thing.
Thank you. That means we can release you now. You can log off.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thomas, thank you for being with us.
Goodbye.
So, meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you very much.
Fair.
It could be done.
No, no.
It's a lot.
It could be because
Look,
It's